Stubblefield, and take it away.
All right, thank you so much, and good morning. Really quick, before we get started, just like to introduce Jeff Dorn and Darren Bell. So Jeff Dorn is our Divisional Sales Manager at Puget Sound, and he has over 30 years of experience in the optimized pre-cut framing, so a wealth of knowledge. We also have Darren Bell, who has over 25 years experience. He is our Regional Opti Frame Sales Manager for PARR Lumber, and he's been on both sides of the sales and the framing side. So my name is Chris Stubblefield. I'm the Divisional Sales Manager for PARR in the Metro market. And as we talked about today, we're going to talk about 3D technology and framing and mechanicals. You know, as I look at this, getting prepared and just doing our research for this, you know, this Build Right conference is an amazing event that really allows us to share the technology improvements that puts builders on a path to building with high performance techniques and standards. So with that, our agenda for today is really what is 3D design and optimization, how it works, and we're gonna dig into that design. Jeff's got some pretty cool examples of multifamily, some open web designs that really show the mechanical. Darren's gonna jump into the manufacturing side and walk us through what that looks like. This along with construction, what support do we have along the way? And then we'll talk about what benefits that builders see. And then after that, we'll open it up for some questions. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Jeff Dorn and walk us through how it works.
That was quick. I want to apologize to everyone right now. Sales manager here. Normally we have a designer, good-looking designer up here that's going through and spinning the 3Ds around, but we can't get them out of the office right now. We're busy, we're moving, and they said you're not getting a guy for a day. Not happening. So anyway, so what I wanted to talk about is some design. We'll get to the manufacturing and construction after that, but as a value-add supplier, as we are, we will locate plumbing drops and adjust floor trusses as needed. We're also manufacturing the trusses as well as Opti frame and prefab walls. So with that, we'll also locate furnace chases in the floor trusses. We can also share designs with other trades and help them be more efficient as well. So this here is a 3D mechanical design. What we have, you got a layout on the left, and then you got a 3D portion on the right there. So our team of wall and truss designers work with 3D technology to integrate the Opti frame with our floors and roof trusses. You know why? It helps us identify the clashes and conflicts between different elements of framing, such as beams, columns, stair headroom, egress, and mechanical systems. If you look at the layout on the left and you see the light blue there, you'll see that they carry that furnace in the upper floor and it's in a closet. So what we're doing is, we know the Opti side of it, we've drawn the walls, we know where that closet is, and then we'll transfer that into our floor trusses. So as you can see, the blue line is going up and down. You see the dimensions of the floor trusses being spaced differently. That's giving us that 2-foot opening, that spread in between the trusses, so we can run ducting through it. And then the light blue on the going left to right is a 2-foot chase that we put in our floor trusses. So that also helps that, and then the trunks will go off and feed the other parts of the rooms. And then also we'll do our drains. We'll locate our drains in the tubs, the toilets, and space them as well. If you look at maybe in the very top, it's probably the master bath, I believe. We've moved a truss so it would get out of the way of the drop in the tub. And you know, with floor trusses, you hit that top cord, you drill through the subfloor, and you hit that top cord, and you damage that top cord. It gets expensive to repair because it's got to go in and get redesigned. Then on the right, the 3D side, you can see the blue where we're running it through, and you can see that chase in the trusses of what that's doing. The red lines are floor trusses. girder trusses. So if you look out in front of the garage, there's a red one that chases off. What they're doing is that you usually got a bump out on in one of the bedrooms. That's what that's there for, and that beam wouldn't pick that up. So, and then the other part is in the stairwell. You see some more girder trusses that's carrying that out to get that opening, so for headroom and everything. Next. So framing design. So this is a 3-story, 5-unit building with roof decks. So 3D framing design helps us verify the stacking of the walls, point loads, window alignments, and rake walls. If you look at that rake wall kind of in the middle of it on the 3D side, that's the stairwell that goes up and leads up to the decks. With this, we're able to stack floor to floor. With us stacking that, we're going to see maybe some inconsistencies from plans that might take a line, dimensional line, and be out to out, and then the next floor might be in and out, and having all those differences between floors. We're able to line them up, see where we're at. We're looking at point loads. Point loads are carrying from the beams. You're seeing them go all the way through the building. Headers, that kind of stuff. So that's why we do that. You're going to see, now this is where I need the designer, because he'd be sitting there flipping this 3D around, and you'd be able to look in between the floors, and you could see if there's beams in the floors that are in the trusses or TGIs, whatever we're using at that point. You would be able to see that. And sometimes when they got errors, they're going to see that also. They'll have something sticking out of the side of the building, something that's into the other floors and that. So, I mean, it's a great look when you're bringing everything together. And that's what we like to do is we'll build our complete so we can go through it and just double check everything and make sure it's right instead of doing a floor by floor.
So does PARR structural engineers that are doing this, or?
So what we're doing is we've got our designers. They're not structural. We're following the structurals off of the plans itself. Yeah, we're designing right off the plans. So with this one here, digging into designs, this we're able to zoom in on our designs as well. So as you look at this one on the left, where you're zooming in, I don't know how well you see it up here, but you're going to see this is a single 2x6 plate, and then you got your upper 2x6 plate. What we've got is we've got 2x4 staggered in the walls at 12-inch on center, so it's a 24-inch on center, outside and interior, to get that continuous insulation. So it's helping. We had a customer that wanted to try that. We stepped into that. It works out pretty good. We've also done inline framing, 24-inch on center inline framing, where you have the single top plate. We've kind of stepped out on a lot of stuff that working with the builder. That's what we do, is we work with the builder. With what was it, March 16th, we got our energy code changed, and it hasn't. We're just starting to see it right now. We got the nationals that have kind of already turned in all their permits. They're good until I think probably the second quarter of next year, so they're not worried about the change. But we've got some builders that are just stepping into it, and they're doing the NovaCore zip panels, and I've got guys that are putting more insulation in the ceiling, more insulation in the floor, and then doing windows, and not doing the continuous insulation. They got away with it. They got enough credits. But I think it's through the furnace and the water heater that they're doing that with. So, it's a lot of change. The municipals are kind of taking it the way they want to take it. We're not sure if they're going to step into it and push it, how hard they're going to push it. So it's kind of a municipal to municipal what we're doing right now with our energy code. So, yeah. Anything else?
Questions? question?
Any questions? Because I'm gonna tell you, if I let this thing go and it gets into his hands, he's gonna talk forever and ever, so.
He's my dad.
Yeah.
A question about the continuous installation. You mentioned the zip system. Are you seeing folks go for, say, a continuous polyiso or XPS system, or is it pretty much exclusively using the zip system?
It's right now, yeah, it's the 1 inch with the 7/16 OSB. But what we're running into, we just did yesterday, just started a new house, and the shear value is what we're having problems with, because they went to a 3-car and they changed the shear value in it, and now it's what is it? It's like a 4 inch or
Went
something.
down to a 3-inch nail.
3-inch nailing, and that's where the problem is with that foam. So so they're going to end up sheeting the wall directly, and then they're going to put this over the top of it, on top of the 7/16 and the foam. So there's still some work, I think, that needs to be done, need to be figured out on that. But you know, they're saying they could turn it around as well, but yeah, they haven't found a nail for that yet either. So yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff going out there right now, and I think that, you know, with us, we're just we're helping the builder if we can with the pre-cut system, and helping them get through that. So
Yeah, can you maybe elaborate more on the level of structural engineering that's already in the plans when it arrives at your desk, and then what additional steps you need to do in order to like get to like this level of detail?
if you want it. Now here it goes.
I'm not a sales manager, I'm Opti field manager, because there's a lot of ears here talking to my boss, so I'm not a sales manager. We will take the structurals as the designers. We need to go dead by the structural, especially in your municipalities, because you're permitted by lot. Now, that being said, we pride ourselves in having a lot of framers as designers. When we find a problem with the structural, we'll work through the builder to present that to the structural engineer, because we all know sometimes they make a mistake, right? So we're trying to isolate the mistakes. The hold down's not working. Simpson changed from double member stitch to they want solid sawn, but they didn't tell anybody that, right? So in our Puget Sound, every municipality calls it differently, and the more I'm in Oregon, I see the same thing happening. So that being said, we're not gonna override. We have to go per plan, but we're gonna help tell you, hey, this isn't working. You got a heat run that's going through 5 beams and they're all up, because the whole open concept, right? So does that answer it? Melissa?
Is this included, like, with your typical lumber takeoff and what you provide for builders? Because I've been working with PARR for a while and never heard of it.
That's sales.
Well, okay, so I've been working with PARR for almost 3 years. Cinco de Mayo will be my 3-year mark, so pretty cool. Yeah, no, I've been around it for 30 plus years. PARR is, you say, somewhat new to it. Puget Sound, I mean, we've got nationals that will use nothing but. There's only 2 of us who can be bid on those jobs, because they want Opti, they want pre-cut lumber. So it's been around. I mean, we've done it for a long, long time.
So is this only a service that you provide when you're doing pre-cut lumber? Or can you do it for, like, conventional building as well, so you can start to integrate, like, that HVAC portion with our open web choice? So that's the part I think that's, like, really great to be able to nail down before we start going.
Well, I mean, if we're doing your trusses and we're doing stick frame, I mean, our truss guys would still, designers would still sit down and do the same thing if you were doing just the trusses and putting it into the floor trusses and that, and not using the Opti, that's fine.
So is it just something we have to ask, like, our sales rep for?
Yeah, I would definitely talk to the sales rep, say, hey, I've got some HVAC that I wanna put in my floors, I've got some drawings, can we follow that? You betcha. Yep.
Is there an offering for balloon framing with this?
Yeah, we'll cut balloon framing as well. Yep. No, that's all gets cut in rakes and rake balls. Yes.
How do you support ducks inside?
Ducts inside what?
Inside the conditioned space.
So,
So are you talking about your ducts in your exterior walls right now? Because I think Oregon's getting them. We got our ducts removed from exterior walls several years ago, so all of ours are in interior walls, so I'm not familiar with the Oregon code, what they're trying to do. So when you say in a conditioned space, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, not outside the insulation.
Yes. It's taken into account into the Opti where there's a lot of walls going from 2x4 to 2x6 and even all the way to a 2x8, right? Because now none of the ducts can be in the exterior 2x6 wall, and the majority of my career was as a framer. And yeah, it changed our whole world with trying to find somewhere to get these up in the inside of the house, not in the exterior wall.
Are you still locating ducts in attics and crawl spaces?
It depends on what builder. Some are in the attic, a lot of them dropped them into the second floor into a closet. Some went back to the garage, some are going back in the house. So like I said, it's kind of by municipality right now. We're just kind of trying to feel, okay, what are you gonna do? And let's see if we can make it work.
So anyways, that question is very interesting because that just means that the original plans, the ducts are already drawn in the plan,
Yeah.
which is kind of a, what's it called? A realization about residential building plans that when I was in school, I was not made aware of this. And then when I came out the industry, I realized that that's what's going on. I'm like, wow.
No, you're absolutely right. So, I mean, I've been using this product as a framer with him as my salesman all the way from when I was in my 20s. And with framing and with this product, you have to constantly adapt. It's just, everybody changes and it's always the framer's fault. So, you know, we got, the old days we had an architect that had an in-house engineer and we got a plan and everything was done, and that's not the way it is in today's world. So you get an architect that subs it out to an engineer, and the engineer designs it for downtown Seattle, but it's built in Monroe, Washington, so it's overkill. So it's really about building a relationship with your salesman, wherever you're working with, and seeing if they will work with you, because that's what we really take pride in, is trying to find the discrepancies, call them out. And yes, they don't teach you guys that in drafting, that the plumbing isn't going there. If you guys are done, I'll go to manufacturing.
I got one quick question. So I get it with the trusses that it would be part of the cost of building the truss, but if you're doing the whole house, are you guys saying that like we'll just give you plans and you'll just cut all the wood for the cost of the lumber, or is it, how does the pricing structure work with this?
Sales.
well, you know, there is a cost to it, there's no doubt. And what that is, it could be, you know, what we're doing is we want to do production. We want to take a plan, we want to go through it, we want to do it and do it over and over. That's where it's best for us. That works best for production. It just makes it way easier. But yeah, we've done them for customs, we've done them one-off houses. You know, a lot of these multis you do in one time. So yeah, there is a little bit of a cost there. I think what we've done I mean, we used to, back when it was, you know, by the square foot, a certain cent. I mean, it was 20 cents a square foot, 30 cents to draw it. It's just, you know, something like that. Now it's just, it's a couple percent added to the whole bottom line. I mean, that's just where it's at. I mean, there's really nothing to it at this point. Us drawing it and getting into it. It's just some time, but yeah, it's a 3 to 4% or something is what we're putting on it.
3 or 4% of the whole.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Like trusses and
Yeah.
walls.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, you know, we're optimizing this. So, you know, that's off of the stick frame list. So we're optimizing the job. So we're getting some back from that as well. So. Now that I opened up that.
From an overall material usage standpoint, what do you see from a savings from an optimized package to a traditional stick frame package, house for house?
You know, material wise, I mean, with the optimizing in it, you know, you're not going to see a thing in it, the price wise. What you're going to get out of it is the time that is taken for the framers. I mean, this thing was developed for the framers, just to speed them up, get more houses in with less framers. Taking a lot of
Darren.
No, I know, but when his guys, Darren, I was gonna say LaFawn, but when Darren was doing it, I mean, he was one guy out there laying out every house. What I've done is I kept him from that. He's able to go out and actually manages people now. So that's what he's picked up, and he's picked up a lot of houses through a month that way, and sped it up. And then for the builder, it's also giving you some consistency, pricing, obviously, because it's the same thing. Your trades are getting consistent. They're gonna go into that house and see that those floor trusses are built the same way. We used to go into trade meetings, and we were all good on that, and we'd actually ask the other trades, hey, what do you guys see in their houses that bug you? Maybe there's a plan that's not right for your HVAC. What can we do to help you? And we would do that. We'd open up the floor for the plumbers, for the HVAC guys. I mean, we'd just see what we can do. Yeah, and then you got the waste reduction too. So you're not paying for those dumpsters. Those dumpsters are just, all you're gonna have is some panels cut off in there because they're cutting the panels. So, yeah.
So if everything's pre-cut, then essentially these jobs require the foundation to be pretty much perfect.
Sure. I mean, no different than, what's nice about this is stick. It's stick. You're still nailing it together, right? So if for some reason your foundation is an inch off, you can cut something off. If you need it to get wider, you can still be a framer here. You know, we're gonna go to the exact. You get into production, I mean, if we're doing floor trusses, we're out there measuring anyway, or roof trusses we're measuring and double checking the measuring. So yeah, it's not like a panel where you have to be, you're already starting to rebuild the panels because they don't fit, they're too wide, too short. You can actually still be a framer here and put it together. Because you can lay your plates out on the deck before you even start nailing them together.
Okay.
I took too long? Go ahead.
Just follow up on the previous question he asked. Has there been thought process for integrating VR to reduce more time?
What?
Say that again.
Has there been thought into integrating virtual reality VR to reduce more time to do this?
So like the framers wearing VR goggles?
Yeah.
No, yeah, we haven't got there yet. We're just trying to get them to wear safety glasses. Yeah, and take it for somebody who just got out of his framing business this year, because I was more frustrated with trying to control my labor with Labor and Industries and that state OSHA here. So, yeah, the VR thing's kind of cool. My son's a union glazer and is experimenting where it puts the grid lines on the floor and they snap it. But that's not something our residential framers are gonna invest in for the dollars that it's gonna cost, right? I'm gonna go into manufacturing if you guys feel comfortable with all the questions that Jeff answered. So, the manufacturing is real simple. I mean, basically they design it, it loads into our saws. With our software that we also send to you guys to review, it's the same thing that hits the saw. So once a saw file enters that machine, you got a saw team that you'll see them sitting there with their hands on the desk not doing anything. They probably get yelled at for that. Every single part is inked, okay? So every wall panel, if it's an exterior, it's an E. If it's an interior wall, it's a P. When we used an I and we went I-102, it confused everybody, right? So there's a lot of thought into this packaging. It's a 25-year process, but it literally tells you every single thing. You know, in our books, we literally make it, I mean, some people call it framing for dummies. So there's a legend in there for every part, and it's in bilingual in English and Spanish. So the saws cut, they package, the bundling is a bundling that has been worked on repeatedly, and it's stacked biggest to smallest, and we try to design where E101, E102, they're the first walls, so their plate pack has E101 on top with their garage walls, and then their guts are stacked sequentially. So when they're building E101, they go to that pile and you'll see the small white bands in there, Every pack is individual by a wall, no higher than 8. If it's more than 8 tall, it gets too heavy. I mean, back in the day, I made him put all my guts for the entire wall in the wall plate. Well, it got really heavy when the guys got smaller. So, you know, now we do plates and we do guts. So the packaging is again, we're trying to speed the framer up. We're trying to reduce waste. Some builders have noticed over a 45% reduction in dumpster fees, and that's a lot of money because it might say recycle on the can, but you're still paying a ton of money to haul it out. And with the cottage product, the ADUs, the stuff we've been dealing with in Puget Sound, we got tight sites, we got no access, so we'll break the loads up, we'll bring in a crawl pack, we'll drop it. A lot of you guys plumb your floors first, which is perfect. And then the second drop is walls. And they get a gut pack, plate pack, their studs, their OSBs, and it's all laid out with a moffett, right?
Do you guys even cut the OSB in the factory?
No, we tried that. That was a disaster. A book goes with every load. So if it's a multifamily like he showed you, that was a 5-unit, that's 15 books made for that building because every floor, every unit has a book. So this is a first floor book for a builder that we really love. He's giving us hell over there. So they get this book, right? This is their Bible. And we tell the crews, because that's my job, I'm the Opti Frame field manager. We have 4 full-time field guys that do nothing but drive jobs all day, every day. And if we have a new customer, myself and at least one of them are there, we work with them for 2 days to explain the book. This is how it works, this is how your lay it is. Snap by print, build by book. Use the builder's plan, snap it, build it by the book. If something's different, stop, ask superintendent, ask somebody, call somebody. Was there an option that got changed last minute? Was there a change? Was there a code change, right? So that pretty much covers all of our construction on the assembly part. And we've proven, we'll tell you it's 30% faster, but we've seen framing companies in Eastern Washington, they literally increased their production over there by 70% with one new guy. And they only took them 30 days to figure the product out. Our quality standards are as tight as we could possibly get them. You know, I'm a framer. My tape didn't have 1/16 of an inch on it. I'm an 8th guy, right? So, we get our saws to the 16th, but it's a wood product. Remember, I mean, you guys have a lot of Doug fir market that we don't have up there. We got crappy hem, so we'll get 1 7/16 2x4. But down here, I've had some 2x6 measured 1 5/8 on width. Moisture. It expands our headers. We'll go from 11.5 to 11.25 on a 4x12 within 5 minutes. So we're constantly, our field guys are gathering that information because our trimmers are dictated off the beam. We can't tell it to cut it at 72 inches. We got to tell it's a 4x12 and it pulls the 11.5 off. So it's a lot of feedback. So the quality is ink, measurements. We're pulling tapes in the saws, we're pulling tapes in the field, and we're talking to the framers. And then the strategic planning and communication. When we take on a new customer and these guys bring one in, we try to get involved right out of the gate. So we try to get in there 30 days ahead. We try to get in there and get these plans in the designers, look at site condition, look at pony wall. Is this thing on the side of a cliff? We have a lot of steel beams in our market now that are coming out, a lot of moment frames. So we're having to design around that, and that's very tricky. Simpson strong walls can cause us a lot of grief in design, right? So that's why the communication, the strategic part of it's so important. When you get to where, hey, I want to build 30 of these houses, what we used to do in the old days, like you talked about, is we would build the first 2, we would have engineer, architect, everybody in there walking that thing, so we'd zero it in and we had a cut file.
The quality of the wood that you have to use in order to run it through the machine, is it generally a higher quality wood so that they're more dimensionally stable, or?
Oh, I blame our buyers all the time for that. I mean, yeah, in a perfect world, all my wood's got 4 corners, but no, I mean, we get what we get, but again, my sawyer's physically grabbing it, right? So they can sort it, and they can grab what they want, and yeah, we're gonna throw the waned into the guts and the crips and the trimmers and stuff, but windowsill, nothing drives me more nuts. Walking in as old school framer with the wane on the window side, rolling off. It's like, could you please roll it when your ink was on the other side? Okay, you could have still rolled it because it's still the same length. But yes, we're trying to cut square wood, but again, it's not what we get all the time. Next. Ha, that's all I got. That's it?
Yeah. I think
They
that's
say I take too long.
I think that's enough for you. All right. So as we wrap this up, really talk about what those benefits of optimization are. Really that efficiency, eco-friendly. Dave, I think this is kind of what you were alluding to. Really, what we've seen is unused wood products. It's typically about 40%. That's on average for what we've seen from our customers. We've also seen on the efficient side about a 30%. But obviously, so depending on the house, depending on the complexity and everything, that's going to affect it. And then accuracy. Really, Darren touched on that. When we're cutting these packs for our customers, there's a lot that goes into it. So it's not just a one and done thing. And then consistency. Obviously, making sure as we multiple cuts, same plans, making sure everything's the same. And then obviously the big thing that's really hits everybody here in this room is that theft reduction. When we have these smaller packs and they're already pre-cut, tends to be not stolen as much. So, and then safety, really just thinking about the safety side of that, less workman comp claims, less cuts, and just makes it more efficient. So with that, that's a wrap for our presentation. Obviously, using 3D technology, there's a lot that went into it. We feel that this is just a big, a value adder for our builders and provides a competitive advantage. With that, we'll open it up for questions.
Software. If I'm a builder, should I be using like Revit or Bluebeam? Like, what should I use to be able to send you files that are easier for you guys to work with?
We can take all the formats. Yeah, we've used Revit, Bluebeam, all of it. It's just PDF is the best. We get CAD files, we get all kinds.
But then if it's PDF, that means you guys have to redraw it.
I want them to redraw it.
Huh?
We want to redraw. We want to check the architect engineer. We need to make sure, because too often, like he stated, when we go from a first floor to second floor, it was 12 foot 1.5 over 2. We get to the second floor, it says 12 foot 2.5 to it. And if a designer just no-brains it and ships it out, now I got 2 floors and it doesn't stack, right? And how many times do you guys end up with on your front elevation where the window on the top floor is 3 inches to the left, right? So we kind of want to redraw it. We want the file, we'll load it into our software, and they'll grid it in. Nothing, you guys get extra time for your next class. It's like a Teams call, you get 10 extra minutes of our day.
Once you get your badge, you get credit for the whole house.
All right.
Do you, on walls that are tall enough to need blocking, is that something that comes pre-cut, or do you provide like an additional set of lumber for us to cut that out of, or how does that work?
That's a really good question. So we've gone down the blocking rabbit hole many times, and a lot of 24 on center product right now, the horizontal sheeting's going into place, so the builder just does 4x8. And so what we're doing is we're sending out pallets of 22 and 7/16 blocks for the standard block they need in that wall. In a balloon wall, you're gonna get blocks at the sheeting break, whether it's 4x10, 4x9, whatever the builder spec. If you go over 20 foot, you might get into an LSL, LVL. We do a lot of LSL, LVL stud in balloon wall in the Puget Sound, because even a 24 foot 2x6 just doesn't stay straight. So yes, blocking for sheeting breaks, but yes, we went down the rabbit hole on cabinet TP. And again, they actually have to put it in the right spot, so we're cutting the standard blocks.
Same thing for fire blocking?
Yeah, balloon walls also, we factor in the growth, right? Because as an old school framer, there's nothing better when you get your second floor up and you're looking like, I missed that by an inch. So our designers are really good about accounting for growth and adding it, because a lot of times you'll walk onto a panelized or pre-cut job, if they don't factor floor truss growth, and we have factors for every choice, you will come up a ½ inch short. And inspectors love to see that piece of ½ inch on top of your wall.
What marketplaces is this available in? Except Puget Sound and local, what other markets does PARR cover?
Well, what market are you in?
Lots of them.
Huh?
Lots of them.
Yeah, I mean, we're,
Arizona. What markets you got?
So right now our footprint is.
Oh, you want to go to the
Yeah.
saw footprint?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's what that means. So saw footprint right now is we have 2 locations, Puget Sound right now, that pretty much cover Canada to this river. And we have 2 saws in Woodinville, Washington, 2 saws in Tacoma, Washington. Now you get down here, we have a Vancouver saw location that covers a lot of area right here. You got Hillsboro with a saw. Ridgefield, our store is doing a massive expansion, so Vancouver saw will go there and have a second saw. So that kind of covers this. You move to Salem, we now have 2 saws there that covers a lot all the way clear to Medford. So that pretty much covers this whole side of the mountains. You jump over, we have Spokane right now that is feeding Tri-Cities, Ellensburg. Not really playing with Wenatchee and Ellensburg so much because there's a lot going on there, right? There's a lot's going on in Spokane. Then you jump over to Bend for our Central Oregon saw, and they cover that whole area. So we pretty much have a very large footprint in Washington and Oregon right now.
Are you guys considering or not considering panelized constructions, or you're trying to kind of get away from that topic?
I wouldn't say that we're not considering it anymore. There's always talk of it. It's just for a supplier of it, it's hard to haul, it's hard to transport, and it's hard to control. And it works really well in a multifamily format because I personally did panels myself for 3 years. One little company named D.R. Horton bought the company that I framed for. I was 25 guys. A year and a half later, I had 200 framers just isolated to them in the Puget Sound. And I was pulling my hair out and I went to him. Because I tried panel, I tried everything, because I would not allow a single wall crew to frame a wall if I didn't lay it out. So how do you think that went for me? Okay, so there was a lot of midnight snap plate details. So this product really saved our butt, and it was very painful to figure out, learn it, tweak it. A lot of late nights for him, me. And in 01, we put 1,300 starts up in 1 year just with one supplier. So that's where, we had Woodinville Lumber. I worked for them. They're gone now. They were a killer company. They put a ton of money into panel, and they did a really good job at it. But they serviced a builder that was 30, 40, 50 wide, and they were square. When we got into the slab work, we got into a nightmare because of the slabs rolling on a sheeted wall, and that's really what ran me back out, and that's when I went into LaFon Framing in '98. So my brother currently still owns my company I exited from. He'll do a 7,000 footer, and he'll call these guys, go, I need you to cut it. Now he's an incredible framer, probably the best in the Puget Sound, but he's got no guys. So we don't do a lot of one-offs, but when we do, there's a margin. There's some points that they will add, and we do a really good job for some really high-end builders in Bellevue, Medina, Mercer Island, because there's no labor in the Puget Sound. That's the problem. This slowdown helped a little bit, but they jumped over the mountain and they jumped down here. So now it's picking up, the spring market's here, and we're trying to get the stuff cutting out there. Good. Thank you guys for all your time.
Thank you.